Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy blog. And as always, we're going to date stamp this. So this is year 3, blog 41, or in legacy numbers, blog 145, and it's dated the 1st of December 2024. And just before I get into the news, what does the 1st of December 2024 mean to me? Probably, as I've gotten older, a bit of dread comes in. We all know that, you know, when you get to December, everybody's eyes are looking at Christmas. We obviously look at Christmas now a lot earlier because of media attention, because of our everyday shopping gets changed, because we walk into a supermarket and there we are at the end of October and Christmas trees and decorations are being put up for you to buy, all of that sort of stuff. And Christmas is all about it's you know, the religious aspect is all about the birth of baby Jesus, but from a point of view in a family home, it's all about making sure your children are happy, they've gotten all that they've ever wanted, making things look beautiful for them, you know, the Christmas tree, the lights, so they get all excited. And that means family, you know, mum, dad, kids. And for the single person, it's a different prospect. As I've gotten older, I've become a carer for my mother. And it's all about keeping her happy. And I dare say I then I've talked a little bit in the last couple of weeks about resentment. And I start to feel a little bit pressured, a little bit sad that I don't have that family that I can sort of like look at in the same way as others, you know, like I've got my own kiddie or I've got my own wife or girlfriend. And so I suppose what happens with that is resentment and totally trying to be close to friends becomes something that you need to do. And my friends are online. You know, I don't have people that come round for a cup of tea at 11 o'clock. All of that sort of stuff. So Christmas isn't really something that I look forward to anymore. And the resentment side of things comes from the point of, why isn't it like it used to be? You know, why am I not excited? Why am I not thinking and looking forward to Christmas? It's not about present opening. It's not about cards. But all of those things, the presents and the cards, the amount you get, or the number that you see, sort of like turns into a popularity contest for me. You know, my mum will have about 30 cards, you know, all over that. I'm lucky if I get 3. Do you know what I mean? And are cards important now with email? Do I want to join in at work with Secret Santa just to know that the person that gets me has no idea what I like and what I don't like, which just indicates to me how much they have tried to get to know me through the year. So yeah, I'm starting off on a bum note, but I've always thought of myself as a person who's quite empathic, from the point of view that I put myself in other people's shoes when I try to answer a question or try to do anything. You know, I realise that people's lives are busy, so I put myself on the back burner. Do you see what I mean? In regards to anything urgent that's needed for me, those sort of things. So, you know, I tend to think that people are the same, you know, that they can do the same thing. They can look at me and go, oh, here's a person that needs a bit of help. I'll put myself forward and try and do things fast as I possibly can for this person, because I can see that they're hurt, or they're not in the best way at the moment. But you know, you can't expect it. But if all you've got is online friends or something like that, then of course you just get disappointed. Disappointment, I think, is what Christmas is for me. But I'm trying to change that this year. The reason I'm bringing that up on the 1st of December is because I want to get it out of the way, not because I'm unhappy this week, because we'll talk about my week later on, and there's nothing bad that's occurred at all. In fact, it's been quite a chipper week, really. A few rocky parts, but ones I'm working on. So, yeah, to be quite honest, I usually start off with looking outside. And I dare say my demeanour of waking up this morning and feeling rather down, you look at the weather and you go, what's all that? It's grey, leaves are there, the grass is growing, the garden's looking messy. Remnants of all of the weather that we've had this week, which has all been rain, cold, all of that sort of stuff. Doesn't exactly go, yay, I'm happy to wake up and look at the sun and everything. You know, you're just not in that place. Do you know what I mean? If I turn the telly on, it's full of adverts of Christmas, and it's full of that stuff that people are complaining about at the moment. You know, I mentioned it last week about the Boots advert. Some people have brought to my attention the Coke advert, all about AI and women are the backbone of Christmas and all of this sort of stuff that make me feel horrible to be a male at this time. I've never wanted to feel that way, but this is how things are making me feel. And how can you therefore have a smile on your face? It's just really quite bad, and I don't want people to feel bad for me. It's just that's how I'm feeling at the moment, and this is a diary. We have to remember that this is a diary. So I'm writing down and sort of saying my thoughts and feelings at the moment, and feelings is a very, very strong thing. It controls how you talk and how you portray yourself. So yeah, the weather's not particularly great. It's not that early in the morning. I've gotten up, I finished the little notes that I need to do on my blog. After this, I've got, I'll be doing some things hopefully for my mum. And then it will be relaxing, maybe. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. We'll talk about it probably a bit more when we get to me and my week, shall we? Yeah. So we'll get the news out the way. That's usually the next part. So this is what I've written down for the news. And as always, I start off with the war, which is going on in Ukraine. Zelensky has suggested that Ukrainian territory under his control should be taken under the NATO umbrella to try to stop the hot stance of the war with Russia. Speaking on Sky News, he said that such a proposal has never been considered because it's never officially been offered. This hot topic of NATO, I think that one of the difficult things is although Ukraine petitioned to be part of NATO, as soon as they entered the war, it was put on hold. What's being suggested now is that Trump's going to come in. Remember, there is this 100-day part of waiting for Trump to supersede the old regime, where he can do nothing, but he can start preparing what to put in place. And so it's not going to be very long. It's going to be January, I think, where Trump will take over control over how he's going to handle the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. So he's always said he can end it in 24 hours. It's yet to be seen. We don't know whether that's just something to say, whatever. But Zelensky and Putin will have to think seriously hard about, right, there's a different prime minister, and it's one with a huge landmass and a lot of resources. What's his official position? And you've got to take away friendship out of this. But you know that Trump is very much a businessman. So he's going to be looking at it from a business aspect. I mean, as much as he'd love to say, look, you two children, slap your legs, go over to the corner and have a chat with yourselves, will you? This is a war, and it's been going on for years. But this is the first time that Trump has gotten involved. So, yeah. If there is something that they can put on the table where they say, look, this is where we are with the war at the moment. This is where Russia has entranced on Ukraine. This is what's left of Ukraine. Let's end it there by saying what's under control of Russia is now Russia's. Are you, Zelensky, happy with what you've got left of Ukraine to end the war? I think that's what they're talking about. Who knows? So we'll see how it pans out. I just want it to end. I'd like it to end peacefully. If that can end by just sitting around a table and an agreement panned out, brilliant. I still think it's bad that Russia gets anything from this. But there we go. And then we've got the multi sort of like UK news. I don't really spend on one big hot story. I just go down what's happening during the week. One of the big stories is, and this is what I put, MPs who back the bill for assisted dying say concerns remain. Yes, on Friday there was a bill put through about assisted dying. The first I heard about it, well, I've heard about assisted dying for years, but the first big name person I heard talk about it was Esther Rantzen, who is dying. She said that she went to who she thought would be the next prime minister and said, we need to have a bill put forward. I've put in place that I'm going to go abroad to Europe where it's allowed for assisted dying so that I can die. Just think of the pressure that's put on my family. I'd like to have that here. I'd like to be around my family in the country that I was born in. I'm terminally ill. There's nothing that's going to change about that. I'm going to be in pain. Before I get to that point, I'd like to have the choice to die. I had no choice when I was born. I'd like to have the choice of being able to decide for myself whether I want to go through pain or not. And with conversations with my family, to be able to make that decision. So, of course, the bill went through. There's lots of, obviously, grey areas that need to be filled in because it can be abused. That's the thing, you know. People are worried that this person's not of sound mind. They've got a lot of money. The rest of the family are then turning around and saying the will's wrong. All of this sort of stuff. And, of course, assisted dying will help in those sort of like circumstances, and that's just one of probably many. So yeah, it's been an interesting one, that one, but it got through, and we'll see what that means for Britain. Other ones, floods continue to cause havoc as the bad weather continues. Yeah, all over the news I've seen, you know, where land is so sodden. And hilly areas have now had the water go down and cover the roads. You can't get to your own home. All of that sort of stuff. Damage to property, damage to shops, all sorts of stuff. And then what is the government doing about it? The old chestnut got no money. And where did the money go? In the last government. In other words, throw the mud over the other side, because that government is no longer in power. And, of course, all they can turn around and say is, we did it, everything we could, and what are you doing about it? It just goes a tit for tat, back and forth. My thoughts are with those people with all their property, floods, the insurance, what it's going to cause, all sorts of stuff. Terrible. Moving on, the Transport Secretary, Louise Hay, has resigned after it emerged she pleaded guilty to a fraud offence a decade ago. So a decade ago, fraud happened. She was brought in by the Labour leader to be the Transport Secretary. After only 3 or 4 months of Labour being in, we've had our first resignation of a big person who controls a huge chunk of what the government controls, transport. Yeah, it's background check. Don't you know anything about these people? All of that sort of stuff is in the newspapers. I have to start thinking about, it was a decade ago. Did that person pay for that fraud, or is it only just come to mind? I haven't really been paying that much attention to it, other than you shouldn't be in that sort of position if you've done that sort of offence, or if you've paid for that offence, then you've done your duty and been penalised, and now you should be on a new start. But you wouldn't be in that high up in power if that happened to you. Anybody that's been an offender that tries to get a job knows it takes years and years and years to get a footing before that stigmatism that you are a criminal enables you to be in any seat of power, i.e. supervisor, manager, whatever. So, yeah. Don't know what to say about that one even. It was a decade ago, but hey, if you didn't pay for that crime, do it now, and that's why you resign, my love. And then the last one, it came up in my newsfeed earlier this week, and I don't know why. It must have been because I was looking up something about my past, and in my past I used AOL as an internet service provider. But Elwood Edwards has died, age 74. He was the voice of AOL's You've Got Mail. And he died on Tuesday. Complications after a stroke he had earlier this year. Yeah, I mean, the amount of times I heard that, you've got mail, you've got mail, you've got mail. I had that on AOL for a good 2 or so years, 3 years, maybe even more, on dial-up. And as soon as I opened up my internet service provider and all the screeches went away from my US Robotics 56K modem, and even earlier, the 33s and the 14s, the first thing that happens when I signed into AOL is, you've got mail. That voice will be around for years for me, even now. I haven't thought about it in 25 years. And he died this week. I hate hearing about deaths and all that sort of stuff. May he rest in peace. I'm sure that might be news to a lot of people. I don't know. It came up on Tuesday for me. So, sad to hear about it. And, I hope maybe that there's a lot of nostalgia for people that I've just heard me read that out, and they're thinking now about their own use of AOL and hearing that voice and other voices that AOL came up with, because they hired an awful lot of stars to do all sorts of stuff on AOL, like you do with early sat-navs, where you could have Joanna Lumley telling you to turn left and turn right, etc. So we get to my week, and I've sort of talked about a little bit already. But Monday was fine. It was a very busy day Monday. I went to physio. Second Monday of my 8-week plan for physio. And I had to speak to my GP straight afterwards. And we reviewed my tablets. My gabapentin has been increased. My amlodipine has been increased. Gabapentin is under review in 8 weeks' time. And that was pretty much all that happened with that. He was happy with progress. He got my blood pressure results, so everything was all okay there. I did what I'd done all this week, my videos for gameplay. I was ending round 7, and I was considering, therefore, when I got to Wednesday, round 8. I got talked into it, by the way. I was going to stop it there. But I thought, no, one more round. I go back to work, as anybody knows, not this Monday, but the following Monday. That made me feel anxious. That makes me feel anxious, talking about that. It's a phased return. I'm only going back for 2 weeks before Christmas is here. But anybody that's been off for a long period of time knows that they get into a regime, and then they've got to go back to the normal regime, the regime that they've been doing for me anyway, 35 plus years. I've been at work more than I've been at home in the last 35 years, doing more than 8 hours a day in a lot of circumstances. But it makes me anxious because of how I left things when I was taken ill. You hope that a major complication like a heart attack makes them think twice. Did they do the right thing? But we will see. So that was the end of Monday, really. Tuesday, I was not very well at all. Woke up as normal, took my tablets. Post arrived, read that. Made my mum a cuppa, all of that sort of stuff. But the funny thing was that I fell asleep in the morning. Late morning it was. And I didn't wake up till 9 at night. Something must have happened. I must have had a bug or something. I don't remember a restless sleep on Monday. But I decided when I got up at 9, I thought I might as well just go to bed. So I went to bed at 10. And woke up again on Wednesday. Still tired, but not tired enough that I didn't go for a walk. I thought, no, I'll start my exercise. I've got to do it. I've lost a day. Tuesday, I can't afford to lose a day. I wondered what happened to my mum. Who made her cups of tea? Who made her meals for her? Who went in and saw out if she was okay or not? And questions came up between 9 and 10 when I went to bed, in regards to, why didn't you come in and see me? Why didn't you wake me up? For which answers I got were, well, you look tired. I wanted you to get some sleep. All of that sort of stuff, where my mother doesn't understand that I need to build my energy levels up. I need to remain awake. That wouldn't be good, would it? That I started work at 8 o'clock on a Monday, and while I was working at 9 o'clock, I fell asleep and woke up at 9 at night. Work wouldn't be very pleased with that. So yeah, that made me think I must have got a bug of some sort. But I woke up on Wednesday thinking I can't have a day like Tuesday, even though I'm tired. So I went for a walk, and some things arrived ready for me to do on Thursday. I wonder if I can show them to you now. The first part of it is here. It's this Vax thing that I bought on Black Friday. It's a spot wash. Spot washer, it's one of these carpet cleaners, but it's not a Hoover one. It's just a small one. It came up in the Black Friday sale on Amazon, and my mother hates the carpet. That we've got this sort of light coloured carpet, and it's got little black spots there. It's been down for about 5, 6 years, 7 years, probably even more. My mum obviously sits mostly in the same seat, so it's like the bristles of the carpet, the fibres, they're flattened down. And so areas of the carpet look worn, I suppose is the word. And we looked at getting a carpet cleaner to come in, and they want like £50 plus, you know, up to £100 odd. And I looked at these spot washers, and they're like 100. They're usually between 80 quid and about 160 quid for the little small portable ones. And there was this Vax one that came up that got really good reviews on Amazon, probably bought reviews, I had no idea. And it was half price. And I thought to myself, look, if it costs even the cheapest 50 quid for someone to come in, and this thing is now, you know, about 75 quid, then it's the same as having a visit, 1.5 visits from one of these blokes or women that come in and clean your carpet. So, and of course the product is ours to use indefinitely, plus my sister could possibly use it. So it made sense in my head, so I bought it for my mum. I got money out of my bank. I wanted to show that I wanted her to be happy in the carpet, you know, in the room that she spends the most time in. And I thought I could do that before I went back to work. So I looked at YouTube, best ways to clean the carpet. And somebody came up with the idea that you could buy bristles for a drill. Now, here's these bristles. Okay, here they are. Very, very cheap, 15 quid. So you put that on your drill. There's the bristles. You put it on a low power. You spray the area that you want to clean, and you put it on a low power on the drill, and it brings up the dirt using these bristles. Now, as long as you don't use these really nylon bristles that you'd use for bathrooms and kitchens like these are soft, right? That should bring up the dirt, and then you go with the cleaner and you just pick up all the dirt, right? So all of that arrived Wednesday. I told my mum what the plan was. She was very happy. Brilliant. So that and a load of, it was a busy day Wednesday because a load of other stuff came through. I'm not quite sure if it was Wednesday or Thursday to what I'm just about to show you. But a load of Blu-rays and stuff suddenly came in. And a surprise one came through. I got this book, which I never ordered, called Retro Arcade Classics. And a mug. Only Fools and Horses Del Boy orange mug, which has Del Boy mug written on it. I don't know if I can get that shown or not. You know, Del Boy mug. And I thought, I didn't order this. And there was a little note inside the book. There it is, just there. And it says, a gift from Steve. Hope you like this, from Steve. Man, a few words is Steve. That's Steve's Gaming. I don't know if you can see with the overhead cam. There we go, look. It's a very nice book. You know, full of all the stuff, you know, that you'd expect when arcades ruled the world, the 1970s, Space Invaders, 1980s, there we are, the expansion of cutesy characters, all that sort of stuff, you know, like Pac-Man and so forth. But then, you know, as we go into the 80s, you know, you can see R-Type here. What a colourful graphical game that is. One of my favourites. Look, Ghosts and Goblins. The 90s, where consoles suddenly started to pick up a little bit. And Endgame, the 2000s, where the arcades diminished to a point where we really don't talk about them too much. It's a lovely book. Gorgeous book. And I've read about half of it so far. And I just want, and the thing about it is I don't get things through the post. So of course it filled me up quite emotionally when somebody thought of me and sent something to me to brighten my day. You know, I've had a bad time with my heart. I've had a few things happen on the internet, all that sort of stuff. And it's been down to me to chipper myself up, you know, to a good place, which can be very difficult to do. And therefore, I've done the things that I sort of like doing, which is videos on YouTube, and taken solace at night of how I've looked after my mum, which is pretty much all that I've done in 2 months since my heart attack. And on the most part, it's worked, and on others, I've gotten quite depressed. You know, you miss that human touch, that human someone in front of you talking. One of the biggest highlights was Jambon, who I met last Saturday. I mean, physically talking face to face, not on the phone, not with texts, or, you know, hearing their voice, listening to what they've been up to, rather than me portraying everything all the time about what's happening to me. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that was out of the blue. I just want to say thank you so much, Steve. I don't very often get things through the post. And so I'm the sort of person that sends things, because we touched upon it in Mamemeister's stream the other night, where I'm the most excited, where I've sent something or given something, and they've told me how much joy they had opening it, and then subsequently the use of it. So it's much like I think a parent feels when they see their child open their gifts, you know, knowing it came from them via Santa. You know what I mean? In case any kids are concerned about how Christmas works. So yeah, that feeling is not a natural feeling for me to get a present. So it was lovely to almost get that feeling back, that somebody sent something to me out the blue. Denny's done that for me. A few people have done that for me, but it's what I'm trying to say is, you know, if you go on YouTube, you got, oh, I got this in the mail, and it's from people, and you're going, wow, you're well thought of, aren't you? All of that sort of stuff. Rare for me. Do you know what I mean? And that doesn't bother me one bit, really. I'm just mentioning that the feeling of getting something is alien to me. Do you know what I mean? I get something from my mum. That's about it at Christmas. Something from my mum on my birthday. That's about it. The rest, I'm self-sufficient. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that was out the blue. So on Wednesday night, I had my normal talk with Ian, and that was a wonderful talk. You know, we talked about, again, stuff about TV and film, and at the end of the talk, we talked about what we're going to be doing at Christmas and New Year, and you know, because Christmas and New Year all fall on a Wednesday, I think, this year. So of course we had to talk about that, but getting ahead of myself a little bit, all the normal people, Muckman, Cy, Tony came in. We had a wonderful time. 4 hours of joy, really. And like I said, we just at the end chewed the cud about what we're going to be doing in those 2 weeks. Watch this space. So that was wonderful. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Ian, or at least go and look at his videos and give him a like. You know, he's a diddery old bugger, but he's brilliant, really. No, and I seriously love our Wednesdays. It's like going down the pub and having a chat, to be quite honest. I don't think my Wednesdays would be the same if I wasn't doing that. Going to be very sad if that ever ended. But End is inevitable. You don't know, do you? So Thursday came along, and two things occurred. I saw Gladiator 2. I did a walk, looked after my mum, and did those carpets. The funny thing is about doing those carpets is how much water and solution. You don't get an awful lot of solution, you know. And I nearly used it all and only got a small strip of this carpet that I needed to get done, which is where my mum puts her feet. But I used the bristles, used the machine, cleaned it all up, and then told my mother it's the inevitable. We got to wait for it to dry before we know how it looks. So not much else happened on Thursday. What can I say about Gladiator 2? I wasn't disappointed because I didn't have high expectations. I love the first Gladiator film. I've got very fond memories of that because I went to see that with my girlfriend in Manchester. I've been up there 2 years. It's the first time I went to really high multiplex cinemas to see a film, you know, so the picture quality was amazing. The sound was amazing. We sort of like held hands through the film and went for a meal afterwards and all of that. So I have really fond memories of Gladiator. And Gladiator 2, I was going by myself early in the morning for a very low cost to see a film. It's quite a long film, and came away not disappointed, but I was concerned that it would besmirch the original film, and it didn't. It was good film. It's not the first film. No. And that's probably a good way. There's some fantastic performances in there. There's some weak ones. The special effects possibly are worse, but we have to remember that when the special effects were done in the first film, they were so brand new and we hadn't seen the likes of those sorts of special effects a lot of times. So they seemed absolutely fantastic. Now it's like those sort of things are the norm. And if something doesn't super wow you, you go, oh, those special effects were shit. They're not shit. It's just that they're tame. They're they didn't super wow you, because all Hollywood tries to do is top the last film or top what they did last time, even if it's a different type of film, right? So if you think about it, how many years? There's 24 years of this film topped that, and this film topped that one, and this film topped that one before, and this film topped that. 24 years of that. So when you get to this Gladiator, it just looks tame. So it's sad to say that. It's just what we expect now. So yeah, it's good that the story was all right and the performances were good, because I think that's all anybody's ever going to talk about when they do their review of Gladiator, is it's a bit of a mixed bag in regards to the visuals, where we should be concentrating on the story and the performances, for which it was a mixed bag. Don't get me wrong. The story was all right though, but how do you top Gladiator? It's always going to be there, right at the top of what I think about when I see Gladiator 2. How do you top Gladiator? Or do you not even try? And if you're not even trying, why give it the name? You know? So, yeah. I came out not disgusted and more than entertained. So a sort of like a 3/4 full bottle rather than one at the top or half glass half filled. You know what I mean? So yeah, 3/4 of a bottle if we're going to do things in bottle format. Bloody hell, Facebook, and then my phone goes off. do apologise. I have to keep these things on because we're expecting things from my mum and all sorts of stuff. So just recently I've had to keep my phone on. That'll change when I go back to work. Anyway, so Thursday was doing my game as normal. Friday, I don't really remember too much Friday. I had to turn my laptop on to agree my phased return. That took a bit of a while because my laptop needed to do updates before it made my laptop compliant. Now, just to talk about this, most security will knock your laptop off of the network if it hasn't been used in a while. I know this, which is why I've turned my laptop on every 3 weeks. So it was 3 weeks from the last time I turned it on, but there were more updates. So it took about an hour and a half before I could even send an email. But I sent the email. I told them my expectations. I told them about my anxieties. And I did tell them right at the end, I am really looking forward to doing something that is what I consider to be the norm. And I hope that January we can forget 2024 and move into 2025 on a much firmer and pleasant footing. I haven't looked to see what the reply is, not bothered. And so Friday gave me the time to play some games and prepare my blog. And here we are. So that's pretty much the week. And as I said, nothing really detrimental there other than health on Tuesday, really. And some dwindling thoughts when I've been by myself about fear of missing out, resentment, where I am in the world, why am I here? All of that sort of stuff. And they've been fleeting thoughts. You know what I mean? Which I bring up because this is a blog. So that's that. So let's move on, shall we? We move on to the shout-outs. And first of all, I've had a lot of people telling me they're very busy this week. Do apologise. I'll try and get a comment into your blog, Del. But I might not be able to. So don't feel bad that the numbers are down that's watching your blog. That's the other thing that I keep a look on, is whether I'm diminishing in numbers and whether people are commenting or not. We're approaching Christmas. I've got to understand that these figures are going to fluctuate left, right and centre. So all of these people, I've got a huge respect and thank you very much for leaving a comment, watching my videos, etc, etc. And they are this week Muckman-Movies, Martroy, Danny Jukes, Ian Hill the Ramblings, Wee Bob Art, David Retro Games Played Badly, Steve's Gaming, Colin Jones aka Ponder, Mamemeister, that's just for the blog, and then you've got Lord Evil, Stephen Taylor 19711, 20th Century Gaming, and Andy Likes Stuff channel. And you'll probably see that there's one missing there, which is Denny, and he's already explained to me that he's been very, very busy. He did a 12-hour shift and he's gone straight into work today where he's not supposed to because somebody went into hospital in their night shift. So you can imagine all of that going on, right? And all I'd be thinking of is, why has my mate not left a comment? You got to remember the world is turning and people's lives are going on. You're not the importance of anybody's day. So my thoughts now are with my friend Denny and getting him through that day, and I long hope that my friend gets through the day and that he can find some time to relax himself. I know that he's had a great week in regards to getting his new telly, being able to watch films, go up into the attic and sort things out, all of that sort of stuff. They will have all been great, but then work hits you bang, and suddenly it's like having an ice bath. You know what I mean? So to all those people that I've just read out, thank you very much. And we'll move, therefore, into the comments. And they're not going to be in any order, just like before. So, we've got Martroyd, and he's put, thoroughly enjoyed hearing about your week, Del. You tell a good yarn. Well, I try. It's just my life. It's just a diary. It's just as if you'd picked up a diary, opened the page. That's what it is. I'm also really pleased that you still have a shot at that managerial position. Some things are meant to be, yes. And it's like I was saying, these are the things where you just turn around and say win-win. With a bit of anxiety, of course. And that is, I thought I'd missed out on a managerial position. The two people that went for it, that are a part of my team, I thought they're too good for them not to get the position. Both of them didn't. And the person that they interviewed that they wanted to take on didn't accept the job in the end. So it all starts again. But those two people, there's no point going for it because they've been through it once already. So, hey, fingers crossed for me. Maybe I will get what was supposed to happen 3+ years ago. Me moving from a manager's position into a more supervisory manager's position. Maybe the world will give me good karma this time. Or maybe I'm just going through the numbers and at least I had to try. Either way, win-win. Thank you so much, my friend. That's from Martroyd, and we get to Muckman-Movies, who's becoming much more of a friend to me. I've missed his videos. We'll talk about his videos later on because he has done some now. But he's been there on Wednesdays to have a chat with us, and he's given us some brilliant advice about what's coming out or how you can get films from other countries. Absolutely brilliant, man. Very insightful. Got a pure, insightful mind. And is not scared to pass that information on. It's not like that person at work, you know, that one that comes up with a brilliant idea, does it, tells the supervisor about it. The supervisor passes it to everybody, and he keeps a little, or she keeps a little bit of knowledge back, so it makes them redundant proof. You know what I mean? Where they go, oh, I'm not going to tell you everything about this, of how I do this. I'm going to keep a bit back so that I'm the only one that knows how to do it. You know what I mean? So, no, Muckman is definitely furthest away from that point and gives us how you do it and does it work or not and things to avoid and so forth. So, absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for your comment. Because he's put, thanks for the shout out, Del. Much appreciated. Glad to hear my recommendations are welcome. They surely are, my friend. Thank you very much. And thank you. I'll thank you in advance from other people as well that will be utilising some of the things that you've said on how to order abroad. Then we get to Denny Jukes. He's put, great video. Got my copy of Watership Down 4K. Off the BFI website and got a pin badge with it. Yeah, win-win. I got my Watership Down through normal means, not through the BFI website, and so I didn't get a pin badge. But what a film. I have watched that one this week. I sat down in the evening. I think it was Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. I'm pretty sure of it. And it's not that long a film. And loved it. Loved reminiscing about Watership Down. I hadn't seen it in 20+ years. Brilliant. Really like that. So glad you got your copy. Well done. Thank you very much, Denny, for the comment. Salute. And we move to Ian Hill, The Ramblings. So here we go. Let's see what my friend Ian has said, who I've mentioned has got his own channel. And we have a chat on Wednesday nights from 8 o'clock. He's put, hi, Dalboy. I hope my contribution this week is okay because I've just had one of those days when things keep going wrong and you are waiting for workmen to turn up and put things right. The central heating is not working again and the boiler just isn't igniting. I'm cold and simply fed up of waiting all day. Now it's clear no one will come until the morning. Why can't someone just ring and give some indication when they will come? I'm just pissed off. To make things worse, the nurse didn't come until this afternoon, and the dressing ripped off some skin, which is very painful now on my leg. So that's the day gone now. I did have plans to do a video, but couldn't do it. You get to the point where you think tomorrow should be better. We will see. And to be quite honest, all of that fills me with dread and horribleness and thinking of you cold and in pain on your legs and all that sort of stuff. I hope it did get better for the rest of the week, my friend. You certainly looked more chipper when I saw you on Saturday on a chat channel. I hope you and your mum's health is okay and not got any worse. It's been good to see you looking better and being happier. As usual, thanks for making our Wednesday live so enjoyable. Loved it. Oh, and I'll tell you what, Wednesday is just now so much of a thing I need rather than something I'm pleased to do. Do you know what I mean? I'll never lose the respect of being asked to ever be on anybody's channel. You know, little old me, you want me on? Ooh, like that really with me. But when you're not doing it, you miss it. Do you know what I mean? And you wonder to yourself, how long will this last? A little bit like that. So it's great. You know what I mean? Long may it continue. I have watched a South Korean film called I Saw the Devil about a serial killer and an NIS agent seeking revenge. Brilliant acting, great script and direction, very enjoyable. It kept me totally gripped and involved with the story. So my question this week is this. Oh, here we go. Which actor or actress do you think could play a serial killer, bloody hell, who would not normally be associated with that kind of role? All the best and have a grand time. Oh, thanks very much for that cheery note. An actor or actress that would play a serial killer that you wouldn't expect to play a serial killer role. I'll tell you what, one that comes to mind was one I saw earlier this year, and it starred Elijah Wood. He was a serial killer in this film, and it was a remake of a film made in the 80s. It was a slasher film. Forgot what it's called. People will know just by me saying Elijah Wood and serial killer. But would you have expected the bloke from The Shire to be a serial killer? I suppose it's that type of question. Things that come to mind, and some of these actors might be dead. Apologies, but you tell me whether you think that these are good ones that you wouldn't have expected to be a serial killer in a film. David Hyde Pierce, who plays Niles in Frasier. Would you expect him to be a serial killer? No, I don't think so. John Candy brought so many smiles to my faces. You could expect him probably to be a serial killer when you see Uncle Buck with him with that drill. But I've just seen him in Planes, Trains and Automobiles and all of those sort of films and just gone, what a sweet guy. You know, The Great Outdoors, Stripes, I think he was in. He was even in JFK, believe it or not. Just a nice guy, very versatile. Wouldn't have expected him to be a serial killer after all the comedies that he made me smiling. And that therefore goes for Steve Martin, doesn't it? I mean, Steve Martin. The hardest, roughest scene I've seen him done was a film called Novocaine, where he plays a dentist. I've seen a harsh side of him in Little Shop of Horrors, where he was a dentist. And of course, he's been in a serial at the moment, which is all about murders in the building, with Martin Short. But he's not a serial killer in that. He's the person who sort of like tries to solve it. So he's more the policeman or the good person trying to work out who's doing all these murders. To be a murderer himself might be a push too far for Steve Martin. Tom Hanks. Could you see Tom Hanks being a serial killer? With Castaway and Forrest Gump under his belt, and The Red Shoe. I suppose some of the black ones, like the Da Vinci Code, and that might give you the twinkle in the eye that he could go around with a drill, drilling people to death. I don't know. Shit. My old mate Jack Lemmon. I don't think I could ever see Jack Lemmon, or even Walter Matthau, for that matter, ever being serial killers. No. I'm mentioning a lot of males here. What about Andy McDowell, 4 Weddings and a Funeral? Groundhog Day, yeah. Nah, I don't see that one being a serial killer or a bunny boiler like Glenn Close. Same goes for Helen Hunt. Twister. Helen Hunt, was she in What Women Want? Was she in that? I think she was. She was in that Jack Nicholson film, one that I really love and I can't think of the name of at the moment, where she's got a son who needs hospital treatment an awful lot. Jack Nicholson was a terrible character in that. Heather Graham from Boogie Nights. Could you see her as a serial killer? No. And I don't think I can think of really any more off the top of my head. No. Anna Faris. Been in a lot of comedies. Was married to Chris. What's his name? Chris. Oh, he plays in Guardians of the Galaxy. Bloody hell. Anyway, I think I've given quite a few names there. I think I've done well there, Ian, with just mentioning some names off the top of my head. That's an interesting question. I hope I gave it a good enough answer for you. Salute, my friend. Thank you so much. And we move to Wee Bob Art. And he's put, enjoyed listening along as always. Sorry to hear about your knee, but glad nothing serious and sounds like the health is on the right trajectory. Book of Eli is one of my favourite movies. We'll need to give it a watch again. As mentioned a few times, I was away on training last week and I have to return for an exam later next week. And that leads me to my question. Here we go. I watched The Holdovers for a second time while away and just love it as a movie. The way they make it feel like an old movie, but also just the ambience and Christmas themes. You can feel the cold during parts of the movie, etc. Anyway, do you have a movie that you love which just captures similar sensations? Let's say temperature, to try and keep the breadth of the question inside some confines. But expand it if you want. Anyway, as always, all the best to you and your mum. And to be quite honest, do you know what? I think that's what's missing from a number of films that have been out. If I watch a film about, I don't know, ecosystem, like a film where the world is in danger because the temperature drops or something like that, I look at it and I don't get cold. When I see all the water, the tidal waves that are coming in, I don't feel like, well, these people are going to get hypothermia or are going to drown or whatever. But as a child, when I watched something like The Amazing Mr. Blunden, where it was a couple of kiddies in poverty going to look after an old stately home, when they're in that stately home and it's late at night and you see the candles flickering, I feel cold. Like, wow, I bet that's bloody freezing up there in there. And wow, look at the little bits of meal that they're going to have because they're on the bread line. And that's the same for feeling like I'm on a boat in Swallows and Amazons, and being scared and being late at night on a beach somewhere with only the flame of a campfire flame to keep you alight and warm. And Kes, I really feel like I was in sort of like Yorkshire. I think it's near Bradford. It's Bradford, isn't it? You know, it's wet, horrible, but you've got that bird, you know, and that's what you think to yourself. He's keeping himself warm with the excitement of being with his friend, the bird, and all of that sort of stuff. Do I feel those sensations when I'm watching a film like, say, Sideways? No. You know, I don't feel like I'm in a vineyard or anything like that. A good a movie as it is, and it is one of my favourites, Sideways. I shouldn't really have mentioned that film. It came to mind because he mentioned The Holdovers, and it's got one of my favourite actors in that, who's also in Sideways. It's very difficult to think of a film where you feel the cold or you feel the conditions that you're in a film. You know, I've seen Indiana Jones in an open cockpit plane, but I've never felt like the wind was gushing past his head and that he was 500, 600 feet or whatever in the air with the propeller going round. I just took it as read he was in a plane, and it might as well have been a plane like a jumbo jet. Yeah, an interesting one. But things like stuff from my early years, like Lord of the Flies, Kes, Swallows and Amazons, The Amazing Mr. Blunden, all of those. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Yeah. I felt I was in an old car. I felt I was driving along, open cockpit, no wind blowing past you, flying through the air in a car. Yeah. Yeah. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang I'd had. Yeah. I think I've named a number of films there. The Holdovers is one of those ones I've mentioned in my blogs previous, where I said I must get that in a sale sometime. I wish there was a steelbook of it. Steelbook's still not out, you see. I probably will get myself that for Christmas. I might buy it for myself, you know, to have in my collection, and hope that it doesn't. And then hope it when I buy it, I hope it doesn't come out then on steelbook, so I don't buy it twice. But you know what I mean. I will get as much enjoyment out of having that as I would have in the steelbook. Thanks so much, Wee Baba. You're a very, very busy person. Thank you for taking the time to leave me a comment. And please understand, ladies and gentlemen, that he's got his own channel. He's a fantastic artist. Do go and have a look if you're ever remotely interested in it, in digital artistry and how to do certain things with drawing digitally. And learning about light and shade and all that sort of stuff. Go and watch his channel. Absolutely brilliant. And so we get to Salute, my friend. We get to David's Retro Games Play Badly. So what's he put then this week? He's put, you seem to be a lot more chipper, mate. Good to see. Thank you very much. I try. Regarding the job, my fingers are crossed for you. Hope it works out. Thank you. Captain Scarlet was my favourite also, mate. Thank you very much. All Commodore 64 games were overrated, you bastard. I still have a SNES wildcard. Yeah, mine was called, I think, the Magicom. Is what it was called. Brilliant. Then you've put what I already know. But I'll mention it anyway. The reason you had to put the Star Fox plugged into the was because of the FX chip. The SNES needed the chip on the cart to run all the FX games. Already knew that. Yeah. So, as I tried to imagine or explain last week, this Magicom was basically just a plastic device that plugged into the cartridge slot. And it had a pass-through, another cartridge slot that you put at the top. Out of that came a disk drive. What you were supposed to do was put a cartridge in to make it think, because when you turn it on, it has to recognise that there's a cartridge in place. Most people put pilot wings in. Well, you have to understand is certain games had what they call special effects chips in them. Okay. these special effects chips came out when Star Fox came out, but were later on used in other games, some racing games, to give it that 3D push that it needed. If you were to dump those ROMs and then put Pilot Wings in, it wouldn't work because there's no super effects chip for it to register. Put in a game with a super effects chip in, and you're more likely to get the game to work. However, not all special effects chips are built the same. They revised the special effects chip. So sometimes, even though you dumped a driving game, you put Star Fox in and it wouldn't work. There were patches for that. So you did get it to work. But you really had to concentrate on the internet for that. And they were very few and far between anyway. Yeah. So I've given a little bit even more background to that one, David. Thank you very much for pointing it out. That prior box set is well worth picking up. They're all classics. And as ever, I enjoyed the trailers, mate. Take care. No, thank you so much for leaving a comment. It's really good to, get your, as well, information across to people in regards to, say, the SNES part of things. The SNES thing was a nostalgic treat for me last week to reminisce about those days where I rented cartridges from Blockbusters. And I was never without a game every day, every week, should I say. Lovely times. And thank you very much, young man. Thank you so much. And long may your channel continue as well. I look forward to the next one. And we get to Steve's Gaming. Before we take a little bit of a break, I just need to splash my face and get a cuppa for my mum. And Steve, my good friend, and my salute to him, you bastard, fucking hate you little git, you shit. Thank you so much again for my present, Steve. Absolutely wonderful. And what's he got to say? He says, "Hi, Del. Totally enjoyable blog again. Thanks. Maybe this was the wrong time to comment, as I've just visited my mum, and I've come home rather depressed. Seeing your mum losing her memory and being confused at times is very upsetting indeed. And, matey, that's exactly what's going on with my mum. And I'm with it every day. And it's not nice, matey. I totally understand. Anyway, let me go on. So I've been really enjoying your gaming series. We're up to 8 already. Wow, that's rounds, by the way. Let's hope there's no sign of it stopping, as I have a list of games prepared for you. Ha ha, yeah, because I know bloody what that means. I've chosen like 28 or so games that I've got all penned up for me to pass on. And every time you come to me, you're going to have a bastard of a game where I'm going to die, suffer, or it's going to be so intolerable, I'm going to rant and rave. Long may it goes. I've already said that when I get to the end of round 8, I'll be back to work. I'll be able to do less of them, but 2 weeks after that, and I've got Christmas off. And therefore, I'll be busily sending emails to say, round 9, game please. And hopefully, people that I've been asking for games will not be away on holiday. Because that will muck the whole thing up. So I'm saying it out now, right? Which is the first of this month. Have a think, because I will be coming up to you for round 9. And it just fills me with joy that you really love the series, Steve. It's got mild attention. Not fantastic numbers. Does it matter? Not a jot. Love doing it. Having somebody think, yeah, I want Del to play this game, and then watch me do it, make a complete arse of myself trying to do it. I think every time I record it of the person that suggested the game, whether they enjoyed me playing it. Not everybody else who I don't know. I just hope they had fun. You know what I mean? And comment or say something about it. That's the thing about it. So now on to my questions, you say. Question 1. What arcade game were you naturally good at? I.e., a particular arcade game that you were pretty good with from the off? That's a hard one. When I was in my early teens, I thought I was good at these games because I knew I wasn't a sports person. So I put probably a little bit more pressure on myself to do good. So when my mother would give me 10 pence or 20 pence in the bus stop cafe and Pac-Man was in the corner, I always tried my hardest and didn't do too badly. I regularly got myself into the high score tables. And that went on with Space Invaders, Galaxian, Galaga, Phoenix, all of those games. There were games that made me very despondent, like Defender. I was never very good at, but I loved them. Do you know what I mean? It didn't matter that I was, from the off, good on them. It was whether I died in the first 5 seconds of putting a coin in that made me despondent. I always was quite good at Berserk, but I'm not the standard that, you know, someone like Mamemeister is. But a game that I'm very proud of that I think I'm not too bad at, or was definitely that way, was Ghosts and Goblins. The reason for it is the graphics wowed me so much because I love Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and Robin Hood and all of that sort of stuff. So seeing a little guy in armor running through a graveyard with zombies coming at you, instantly I was attracted to it. And the music was brilliant, and I watched people play it. And after I watched people play it, I tried to mimic them, and most of the time I could. And it wasn't very long, possibly 2 or 3 or 4 coins in, I was over halfway through the first level, and after 6 or 7 coins, I was at the end of the first level and going to the second level, which really is not that bad when you consider that's one of the bastard hardest games you could ever play. And I think it was the graphics that spurred me on. It was a different affair when you talk about home versions, because practice makes perfect. And therefore, I played them for hours, so I got good at them. Elite is one where I'm quite happy to say that I got a very high ranking. I don't think I ever got Elite. I think I got the one underneath that. But I was never mostly harmless or anything like that. I moved past those pretty quickly because I played them to death. Do you know what I mean? But you mentioned arcade games, and I'm going to say the early ones and then Ghosts and Goblins, brilliant. As much as I loved Outrun and how it looked, I never really got much beyond the 3rd stage on a coin. I got to the 3rd stage, probably the start of the 4th, and then I'd pitter out and die. Yeah, I was never that good. But I was much better at the outrun of 20, whatever they call it, 2002 or 2002 or 2012, whatever. I loved it in the arcades when it came out that I could play it on my Xbox, the original Xbox, brilliant. When it came out on the PC, I bought it for that. I loved all that hearts and steer and all of that sort of stuff that you had to pick up. I seemed to be able to go on and on and on with a time that was extended, and I didn't know why, because I was going, bloody hell, I'll be dead in the first one, and it made it so much enjoyable. Hope that answers that question for you. Question 2, have you ever thought about getting into astronomy? It's something that I've always wanted to get into, but I never had the budget for. I know you're into space like me, but ever thought of buying a telescope and pointing it at the moon? All the best, my friend, and I hope your mum is well. Always have I wanted a telescope. Always have I thought to myself, as much as expenses they are, I bet they're shit. Because you need thousands of pounds, my thoughts are, in regards to getting any type of photography. That's not quite true. You can do some great photography with your mobile phone, with digital zooms. But I have been looking at something called the C-Star S50. For the last 6 months, I've been looking at this. I wonder, if I go to media playback. Just quickly. There we are, all ready for me doing the videos later. There is a C-Star S50, right? Don't know if I can show it bigger. There it is. It comes with a tripod. It's this part here is where the memory is stored, where the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is kept, and this is the camera with the sensor and the aperture of 50mm, which isn't bad at all. The sensor is the thing that lets it down the most because it's only a 2-megapixel sensor. But taking that away for a moment, you can get pictures like that from it, which, by the way, is a very low-res version of a high-res photo. But if you point this camera, which it uses an app to point for you, it recognizes where it is based on where you are on the planet. It will point it up and take multiple photographies and stack them together to give you a high-res nebula picture. And all of this we can't see with our natural eye, but our photography cameras can, because of the way that the exposure and the aperture work. You'll see other pictures that this camera has done. Look, there we go, another nebula. I think there's one of the Andromeda Galaxy, I think, somewhere. It's not too bad at picking up worlds. Well, I can't see one there at the moment. It's, like I say, a nice thing to have. It's very light. Auto tracks and all of that sort of stuff. It's the price. Now, you might balk at this price that I'm going to talk about now, and I'll go back to the camera view. Okay. You might balk at the price because the price is around about £500. But what you have to consider is there's lots of these telescopes that you can buy that are £100 or £200, and they've all got eyepieces that you can attach an SLR to. But depending on the type of lens, whether they've got 3 lenses in the barrel or whatever, they're not particularly great, and the camera mount is not great either, where your eye is supposed to be looking through. Don't get me wrong, they're getting better. This one, for an extra £200, offers you the tracking, so it points to wherever you want to point to. It does it during the day as well. You can do nighttime photography in the day. It's got a filter for you to do photography of the sun, so you can see the dark spots on the sun and the flares, which would be great for eclipses. And it does it all through an app where you just go to the galaxy, point to the moon, turn the damn thing on. It will shift around your garden in a 360 degree, find where you are on the planet, and then point your camera directly at the moon. And all you have to do then is just pinch and expand your fingers on the app, and you're zooming in and out on the moon, and you're getting lovely pictures of all the craters. It's as simple as that. You could take a picture of the moon in 2 minutes. Simple as that. And then if you want nebulas and all the rest of the stuff, it will do stacking. And therefore, in, say, 18 minutes, you will have pictures like I showed you. Wonderful. If you're into photography, brilliant. If that bores you to death, fair enough. But I love astronomy. So, yes, I am thinking of that, Steve. And if I ever have £500 next year, where I think I might be able to do it, and remember, that's saving, what, £100 a month, putting it aside. By the time I get to the 5th month, I can buy one, and by then, the price might have come down. And it then will be spring, summer, and it'll be absolutely fantastic. Something to plan for, you see. Something to look forward to. Just need to see if I can keep £100 by, innit, really. Salute, my friend. Thank you so much. Wonderful comments, wonderful question. You're still a git, you bastard. You really. But keep doing what you're doing, matey. And just before we get to, I'll say salute to you, just before we go any further, I'm just going to splash my face, get myself a drink, make sure my mum's okay, get her a cuppa, and then I'll be back. Won't be a moment.
And I'm back, and seconds have gone by from that point. I splashed my face, went to see my mum, gave her a cuppa, asked her what if there's anything that she wants. She asked what day it was, what time it was. Memory again concerns me, but she was in good spirits, looking out the window, stroking the cat, that sort of thing. So no problems. So we move on to Colin Jones, aka Ponder. And he starts off his little, well, not rant, but comments. He's put, I didn't even notice any wokeness in the Boots ad until it was mentioned. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like some people go, oh, wow, straight from the beginning, and others don't even see it until it's pointed out. I saw it immediately. Maybe I'm more sensitive to it. Maybe I watch a lot more films, TV, on that hits that particular subject more. I don't know. It's one of those things where when you see it, you can't then let it go. And I suppose that's what happened to me when I saw that advert. He continues, I did have a bit more here, but that's already been covered elsewhere, so I won't dig it up again, but I think we can still agree it's shit. Yeah. Coke adverts for Christmas, all the rest of it all falls into that. He continues, so glad to hear you're recovering well. Those are good results with your walking, weights and blood pressure. They are. Thanks very much. Ouch, ouch, ouch on the knee. Yes, my God, that was a down point, but I turned it into a positive point, looking at it with my car and everything. Brilliant. That was quite an eventful day, to be fair. Not good on the knee, but all in all, a lot got accomplished. You wouldn't have been able to do this much before the operation for sure, and that's exactly what I told myself all through that day, and that's what gets me through things. I'm pretty sure other people that have got wives, kids, and all that sort of stuff have this reassurance said to them, which is why it comes across quicker. For me, it takes a bit longer. I have to say it to myself while knowing there's no one around to talk about it with. That's the downside of me a little bit. I do have an arcade game for round 8 of your gaming series, for which you've given me, and I had immense fun with the game Mayday. Absolutely brilliant. Nebulous is actually more of a puzzle game. Yes, it is. I got into learning it when it was an Everything C64 challenge. Oh, I played it when it came back in the day, and I played even the Amiga version, and even then I just thought, this is more a demo. And it's so frustrating with this ball that comes in from the side, and you learn how to get round that, but that doesn't take away from the fact, is it fun? And I just don't find it fun. That's the thing. But to other people, very fun. You know what I mean? It's like that. Zoids, you say, is hard. Even when you sort of know what to do, it's hard. I've beat 2 bases twice, and it crashed both times. And I never loaded it again, except for listening to the music. Original cassette as well, not a copy. Exactly the same. I bought it on tape. I loaded it up, played the music more than I played the game. When I played the game, I got quite far. It didn't crash on me. Don't know why that was happening for you. Could be for all sorts of reasons. For me, my fundamental, when I look back at it, is a resentment on how difficult it was, and how little you got for progression. Yeah, I'd say that was quite good to say, really. Beam Rider and Hero are classic examples of how enjoyable gameplay beats fancy graphics any day. I actually have both on a single switchable cart that I built for a real Commodore 64S. Yeah, I bought them on tape and disc because obviously I had different systems and didn't really have putting them onto ROMs and stuff. I haven't done it later on in life. I go back to them and enjoy them as much as I did when I was a kid. That's this nostalgic element to it. Anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Beam Rider, Hero, spelled Hereo, yeah, Hero, isn't it? I think that's right. Just trying to see how you spelled it. Hero, yeah. Played it first on the Atari 2600, played it on the Commodore 64, loved both versions. I did play it on my Atari 800 to make sure my Atari 800 was working, loved it on that. Only version I didn't get on with was the Spectrum one, thought it was a bit bland. Just loved the game. And I've always said, probably because I have so much respect for Jeff Minter and some of those early programmers, I was more interested in what new gameplay system they'd employed than it was the graphics. So many other companies were concentrating on how it looked and sounded over what you were getting in regards to the gameplay. The gameplay is the thing that makes me want to continue to play it. So I've always been that way inclined. I think there are two things keeping IPv4 going, as the pool has long since dried up. Yeah, we all know that. And they are NAT and SAN, the latter being subject alternate name. Yes, I know about these acronyms, which allows multiple domains to securely, hosted on a single IP address. Dual stack has been available on all new machines for years, though, so I'm not sure what the issue is there. The big disadvantage with IPv6, of course, is that every device is directly connected to the internet. Yeah, it is. Cloud-based system, internet-based system. So it's very much an Amazon Web type situation with those. So really needs to be on its own firewall. Imagine that with the tiny resources available to consumers. IoT devices, shudder. Yes, we working for iSoft, which was the Primary Care Trust. You can imagine that doctors' surgeries and hospitals talk to each other, and they all have outhouses, buildings, and they all have to be IP'd, right? And they all have their own subnetwork mask, and they generally can be on two different domains, and they talk to each other. You can imagine how complex that is as well when it regards to backup and then the restoration in case of a catastrophic failure. This is where me as a network person, when somebody was turning around and saying there was an outage at a particular building, I had to know instantly what the IP range was for all those PCs. Have a little look and see if the domain was down. See which server on the farm, they call it a farm, was down, and then bring that back up, and then the switch would reapply the IP addresses with no loss of work. That's what I did on a daily basis. So of course I'm very familiar, with NATs and SANs and so forth, and I understand as well IPv6 is a very complex system. It has many advantages, but it'd be costly to the consumer to integrate. I don't really want to go too far into this subject. It's something I did for 10 years of my life, and I did for 5 years on a support desk in regards to iSoft. And of course I did much of it as well at Lloyd's, although probably not quite so much because I dealt with the customer side rather than the staff side, when their machines were down. That was a different support desk. Didn't do too much of that, although sometimes I would be employed to go over there to fill in for holidays, so I was aware of it. It was something that was given to me, and I was pleased to do it because it was educating me. So brilliant. I remember watching Juggernaut on a portable black and white TV powered by battery in a caravan in Porthcawl. I don't know where I was in the 1970s when I watched that film. I should think it would have been a bank holiday or when I was off sick from school or something. I have seen it properly since, and it's a decent movie. Yeah, I'm so glad I've got it in my collection. I haven't watched it yet in Blu-ray format. Looking forward to doing that. Question: have you ever thought about indexing your blogs to mark each section? I thought about it with mine, but I go through each topic so quickly it's hardly worth it. But yours is far more structured and might benefit from it. That's been answered multiple times, Colin. The last time I brought it up was because of Seb. He brought it up. And I said I'd be re-looking at that when I get to probably year 4 or maybe even the start of the new year. There are many things to consider when you're starting to do something like this. I do have a structure, and I do mark it out that the beginning is about the war and the news, and then there's the shout outs, and then there's what I've watched on YouTube, and then there is what you've done on YouTube that I've watched. They're very easy to find by just understanding that the news is about 5 or 10 minutes, the shout outs less, the comments section a good hour, what I've watched on YouTube 20 minutes, and what you've done on YouTube another 20 minutes with the trailers at the end. If you get to the end of doing a blog, I then do my stamp. So I get the camera out, do a picture grab, label that up, then I have to upload it, then I have to do the wording for it, and then basically I'm finished. To actually then go back and watch it myself, find the bits that I'm talking about, put in a date stamp so that people can individually go to it is a good idea. But it also is ringed with the fact that certain parts might not get watched. Okay, so there might be some people that go, I'm only interested in the comments area. Some bits will go, don't want the news at all. It alters the algorithm because it says people are not watching after 30 seconds, or people are only are watching only this section or whatever, which is great, I suppose, because it can also therefore tell you bits to cut out. But my blog is not for just you. It's for my nephews and nieces for when I'm gone. So cutting those out would be bad, but keeping them in from the algorithm point of view would also be wrong. Lots of stuff like that to consider, Colin, which I'm doing at the moment, and it's something that I'm considering for year 4 or even before that point, the new year. So it's an interesting question, and thank you, and I hope that gives you a sort of like some of the reasoning on why I haven't done it so far. What I know that I could do is I could go back to my earlier ones and do that. Make it easier for people that want to go back to the beginning and don't want to watch those bits. Those bits have already been watched. So, yeah, that's something I'm considering as well. And then the last, so salute to you. Fantastic channel that you've got, matey. I so look forward to your content. I don't have Twitch, so I won't see much of your content this week because I didn't see much on YouTube. I know you would have done stuff on Twitch. So as soon as I see the stuff on YouTube, you know I'm watching it. And we get to the last comment, which is from my mate Mamemeister. Like I said, it was be a short one this week. He's put, and I quote, looking at the last 3 to 4 blogs, I can see the wiring pattern on the PS5 controller hasn't changed. Hence, I'm guessing you rarely use your PS5. What are your thoughts on modern consoles? Has the excitement of these ebbed away to nothing much like myself? And do you envisage picking up a PS6 when it comes out? Actually, all of that has been answered, but I've got no problems with saying it all again. The PS5 has been the probably the biggest disappointment as a console of all of the ones that I've bought. And I've bought them all the way from the Nintendo 64. So I've bought handhelds, I've bought the Dreamcasts, I've bought the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, the PS3, the 4, the 5, etc., etc.
Now, the problem with the PS5 is it didn't have a baptism of fire. It didn't get a kickstart like some of the other PlayStations that came out. And I'm just concentrating on the PlayStation bit here. We had COVID. And during COVID, anybody that remembers it, who wanted to buy a PS5, they were all being picked up by scammers. You wanted one for Christmas, you had to buy it from a scammer because the scammers were picking them up as soon as the shops were saying, we've got a new batch in. People like Amazon were getting like 1,000 units every 2 to 3 weeks. And those 1,000 units, I'd be lucky. I think you'd be lucky if 200 people actually got one and the other 800 went to the scammers and they inflated the prices. I remember I was very, very lucky in picking one up after about 5 months. And I wasn't excited when I got it. I don't think I took it out of the box for the first month. And the reason for that was work. I was at work for longer than 8 hours. I was doing 12, 13, 14-hour shifts. When I got back, I didn't think about putting games in. And when all the excitement went out the way, I was trooping across into a new job, which didn't turn out particularly well. Again, I was concentrating on my work and how to do specific functions in this particular job that I was moving into. And all I know is the games were bloody expensive, and I wasn't really in the mood to look on the internet to find which ones are the good ones, which ones are the bad ones, and buy them. It was much easier for me to concentrate on what films were coming out as steelbooks and buying those than it was the games. So when the odd one came out that I heard was good, and it'd be a well-known IP, like God of War or something like that, I bought them. But did I take them out? Rarely. The other reason for buying the PS5 was Spider-Man. It was the flagship character at the time for that console. So it was worth getting one. And it's why I didn't buy the new Xbox. The last one I bought was an Xbox One. It's still over there. And I haven't bought the other Xbox. Normally I would buy both consoles. But I did buy a Switch. Now, out of all of the machines, the Switch is probably the one I've used the most because I only have to take it out of its cradle and bang, I'm playing. If I then have problems with my eyesight or I get tired or fatigued, I turn it off, put it back in the cradle and I'm away. PS5, I have to switch it on. It then has to do a download of a patch for the machine. Then I put the game in. It has to install, then download a patch for that. By the time I get to the game, I've got half an hour in and basically that's the end of my day. That is the norm at the moment for all consoles. But for somebody like me, where I've got some health issues, where I get double vision and all of this sort of stuff, I have to consider the fact I'd rather watch a film, or I'd rather watch a TV program, I'd rather read a book, or rather get some jobs done. Where before, in my youth, even I'm going back, say, like 5-6 years, on a Sunday, I'd think nothing about turning a game on and playing all through Sunday, playing a game. That I don't feel that anymore. So the console has been moved because I obviously have to clean it. It looks like it hasn't. But then again, I do lift it up, dust, and put it back down. Sometimes I lift it up, dust the controller, put it down. It looks like it's hardly been moved. But then again, that poster always looks like it's half hanging off the wall, and it's not. It's actually pinned to the wall quite nicely at the top. It's just you see drop shadow. So some things in the background do look in a certain way when actually they're not that way at all, to be quite honest. But you're quite right. I hardly ever play it. It's not my it's not my 4K player either for films. That's underneath it. So yeah, I find it much easier to turn on my 4K player and watch a film than I am waiting for patches to download and play a game. And it's much easier as well for me to play a game on Steam on my PC because my PC's always on in case I need to do anything. So yeah, it's just, I suppose all the time, availability. The availability on my PC is always there. The availability for the film is always there. The availability of the PS5 is there, but it has to download patches and shit and all of that sort of stuff. Plus, games are so complex these days that I'll lose the control scheme by next week and I'll have lost interest again. Spider-Man's the only one that I've really spent any time with. Astrobot is the other next to one that I've played. I bought Tomb Raider, haven't loaded that up yet. It's just a simple matter of I'm not really thinking about playing that game yet. But I will get some excitement to do so, probably over Christmas maybe. So you ask, has the excitement of these ebbed away to nothing? Not quite, but you're nearly there. And do you envisage picking up a PS6? There's a question mark over that. Obviously, I've always bought those consoles. They've been sometimes backwardly compatible. I've never got rid of any of my consoles. So you can see right here, there's my PS3. If you look down there, there's a PS4, but you can't see it because I'm on my chair. The VR headset is on top of it. And you can see the orange light. The PS4 is there. Right next to that, there is a Wii U. So yeah, the consoles are there for me to turn on. I dare say I will get excited, but I don't know. I really can't answer. There's no Mystic Meg crystal ball for me to look at for that. I hope so. I love computers. I love consoles. I love the excitement of something looking visually new or something being different from the last one. But there's a price point to this. Will my mum be around? Will I be buying this house? Will I be able to afford it when I get the new bills come through with my mum's pension not helping out? Yeah. Lots and lots of questions and no answers. Thank you very much for the question. Very, very interesting. I always give the same answer though, but it's always going to be a watch this space. That's it for that section. So we will move to the next section. I'm just trying to turn the page over. I'm not doing very well here. There we go. Turn the page over. And it's watched on YouTube. So this is the general stuff, you know, the stuff that comes up in my alert box. It does incorporate some friends and some sections like films and TV. The watched on the your YouTube is more to do with people that are in my Discord, people I've followed for years and all of that sort of stuff. So there are two magic things that I watch every week without fail, and that is This Week in Retro and Tech Mode. They all had great stuff this week. One of them was Set Your PC Clock Back to 1990, Windows in a Trench Coat, and Games Over Zendaya. I won't give you too much detail about that, but Holly was there this week, and they were talking about the fact that desktop PC seems to be back. Back in the day, desktop PCs were something that you naturally bought, but towers came into effect in, you know, more common practice for home from around about the mid-90s. Much easier to build, much cleaner, much clearer. The monitor then can sit to the right of it, all of that sort of stuff. Or you could put it on the, you know, nearer the floor or attached to the underside of the desk. Desktops become less of a need for that, and there was much more cramped spaces. The monitor always sitting on top and all of that sort of stuff. I do miss the desktop, but anyway, a company that is near Silverstone has built a case, a beige one at that, to think about desktop PCs again. So it was quite an interesting talk. The rest of them, Windows in a Trench Coat, Games Over Zendaya, all brilliant. Go and look at that. Fantastic. If it piques your interest, I hope you go and see it. And Techmoan was doing the last Bose acoustic wave music system. He's bought a lot of Bose equipment. He bought the only one he's missing really that he considers worth reviewing off of eBay. It's from 2003, so it's very old. And he was marking out the good points and the bad points. More bad points than good points now because of so many other advancements.
He did see some good in it. That's what I like about Tech Moan. He does put your mind back to what was around in 2003 and then ask the question, was it a good product? And it would have been an exceptional one, I would have thought. It had the Wi-Fi and the Blu-ray and the DAB and all of that sort of stuff in it. But it's the Bose bass that he was concentrating on, which was not brilliant on that device, but got better later on. Both of those channels come out with an episode each at the end of each week at 10 o'clock on a Saturday. I'm there waiting for it to come up, and then I'm watching instantly. Brilliant. What else did I watch? There's a site called Zach Builds, and he built a modern Apple iPod. Yes, he took an Apple iPod to bits, recognized its shortcomings, took bits of it away, added things to it like a new battery, a new display, a different way for memory, i.e. SD cards, not a hard drive, etc., etc., to bring it up to a modern standard, and then see, is it worth, therefore, doing that in the year 2024. Very, very interesting. About an hour long. It showed the steps that if you wanted to do it yourself. He priced it up. Really, the prices of these things are cheap, lower, but you're still talking about a high-end product like an iPod, taking it to bits and buying extra bits that that are already in there. So yeah, I mean, he put haptic feedback and everything into this device. It was just an interesting watch for me. Then we've got Joey Does Tech. He tried to fix faulty devices for a profit. He's in season 2. Yeah, it's been a week of me having so many other things coming up in my alert box, probably because I'm looking at further afield in my watching. Not that involved in that particular website. It was just interesting to see whether he made a profit or not. If I've seen one PS5 repair, I've seen 1 million. And it goes the same with switches. So, take it as read. You're not going to see much different in there. It's just the added, did he fix it? What did he buy it for? And what is he selling it at? That's what it's all about on that. Then we've got Gadget Show. The Gadget Show. That's right. I mentioned in the last couple of weeks, who knew that the Gadget Show had moved to a podcast? That was interesting this week. They did a section called Movies That Predicted the Future. So I was just trying to read what I put in small print. Were they correct or something like that I've put? So that was interesting. That's all about Back to the Future, the hoverboards and all of that sort of stuff. That was quite good. Like that. A site called Multimedium. Biggest failures in AV history. Now, the big problem I have with these sites like Multimedium that do something called that, biggest failures, is, do you consider them failures? They had Laserdisc in there. Was that a failure? It ran from 1970s all the way through to the mid-90s. It went away, came back, sold millions of units. Lots of people bought the Laserdiscs. It was expensive. You could even have an argument and say, did Betamax really be a failure? Sony brought out the Betamax medium. Panasonic, I think, and JVC brought out the VHS medium. VHS won, but Betamax had a fantastic picture, sold in lots and lots of units. But its failures on size of recording onto a cassette took longer than VHS giving you the equivalent. And storage was king back then. So, yeah. You have to look at it and go, that weren't a failure. Or what he considers a failure in your eyes isn't, is the best way to look at it. So it's an interesting watch because you could be shouting at the screen going, that's not a failure, you bastard, you bitch, that was great, I had that, blah, blah, blah. You were like this, and you're watching it, right? Then we've got a channel called Steve Knows. New features in the Meta Quest 3 and
in its latest update. Yes. So I watch this channel because I've got a MetaQuest free. It's just down here. It's got new updates, and therefore I'm interested to know what are those updates, what are the quality of life that's been added to them. Brilliant. And on top of that, straight afterwards, there was a recommendation to go to Reese the King VR. Reese, spelled R-H-Y-S. He did a section called Watching Movies in VR is Insane. I didn't learn anything from this because that's what I do with my VR headset. I watch movies. But it was nice for him to do a section where other people could learn that VR headsets have moved on a lot. And you can now have a watch-along experience in something called Big Picture, and that Netflix's new app, and the way that the updates have been done on the MetaQuest free, you can now have curved screen, you can have spatial audio, all sorts of stuff now that increase the quality of life for watching films in a VR environment. So that was great. Fantastic. So what have I been watching of my friends? Like I say, there's only so many hours in the week, so this rotates around an awful lot. So if you see a name that's not listed there, it's not because of anything other than I didn't watch it because there was nothing on their channel for me to watch that I haven't seen a million times already or whatever. Or it just didn't appear in my alert section. Doesn't mean they're not going to come up or be shown later on in another blog. So we start off with Ian Hill, The Ramblings. And oh my God, how could any of this not appear in my alerts? Jesus, here we go. Right, top 5 horror films from 2016 to 2019, plus a new section, top 5 sci-fi films, 1960 to 61. Breakheart is a film DVD review. I think it's called Breakheart Pars. Something like that. Sorry. Can't remember that one. I haven't even got the film, so I can't say. The Eye DVD review. Doctor Who Nightmare of Eden review. X-Files Season 2 Episode 24 review. Carol King Tapestry CD review. And then Live with Me on a Wednesday. Sorry I got that Breakheart incorrect. I'll try and fix that. But oh my God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 individual sort of like things to watch with so many parts. 3 parts of the horror, 2 parts to the sci-fi. It's just oh my God, on and on and on. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. Every week something for me to watch. Fantastic. We've got Playtendoguy. He's done a couple of shorts, Wicked Film Reaction and Lilo and Stitch teaser trailer. So he showed off the teaser trailer to a Switch game that he's bought. And he did a live stream last night. First one in a long time. That had some of my friends on there. I wasn't invited for this week. That's fine. Like I say, it's nice sometimes to have a week off. I believe it went exceptionally well. Please do give that a watch and give support to Pete. Pete is one of the people that I initially started watching his chats. It's how I got into the movie side of things, was his specific channel. I saw others later on, but his was the start. I was invited onto his side. He now invites me onto his, and we've also done ourselves a discussion. He will be back on my side doing some more discussions. He's expanding out into other people's chats as well. So this is a good time for you to get to know him. Not quite sure when I'm on next. He assures me, it was just that he was shaking things up a little bit yesterday, so he wanted to have a few different people on. Absolutely fantastic. And I believe it went well. Thanks very much, Playtendoguy, and I look forward to doing more collaborations with you. Mondo Chelloveck Movies did a Nightmare on Elm Street ranked. That's always interesting when you see somebody who knows horror so much ranking all those Nightmare on Elm Street films, and there's a ton of them.
And basically, you can sort of like look at it yourself and go, "You're wrong there, mate," and have an argument with him. Why not? Jim Jam Movies did birthday gift unboxings and mail from Ireland unboxing. Plus, I think there was an unboxing as well late last night in regards to something he ordered. I think it was E.T., not sure, don't want to give it a game away. Definitely worth a watch. Jim Jam's somebody that I know, I've met, and we've had lots of chats, absolutely fantastic, and he does some exceptional work on YouTube, very entertaining. Then you got my friend Josh Through the Lens, who's now come back, started to do some reviews. He did a review of We Live in Time and Wicked. Wicked is very popular at the moment, came out last Friday. It is based on the musical of Wizard of Oz. I believe it's well received. I'll probably see it on physical media over going to the pictures. I'm not big into musicals that have been put onto film, although The Wizard of Oz was a musical, really, when it first came out as a film in the 40s. So, yeah, brilliant. Did you see that? Is doing a new thing called PlayStation Trading on in episode 1. So he's buying a PS5 game, playing it, taking it back, trading it in, getting another game, and doing a recording of that process to see was it worth trading in and was the game any good in the first place. Quite good. I know it's been done a number of times, but they're always quite interesting. And then lastly, for watched on YouTube, there is Muckman-Movies, who did an October-November pickup video. And oh my God, man, over 2 months, he's picked up 30 plus films. Every time he shows off one, he tells you a little bit about the film and the reason why he bought it. And sometimes if he's got round to seeing it, he'll talk about the picture, whether he thought it was good for the money. With 2 months worth, you've got a good hour's worth of watching entertainment from my friend Muckman-Movies. Definitely support him. What a channel. Have a look at my description. You're bound sure to see links. We're on the final stretch, and it's now your YouTube. This is the stuff of people that are in my Discord, in Mamemeister's Discord, all of that sort of stuff. And we come across Down the Rabbit Hole. And he did 2 videos this week, pole position 1 and 2 gameplay using his Mad Cat steering wheel. This is a great device, this Mad Cat steering wheel, because it sits on your lap. It has an attachment for your lap and it wraps around. And what he's doing is he's putting in old games that we used to play in the arcades, like Pole Position, you know, the fantastic game that was out in the very, very early 80s, and seeing whether this steering wheel really helps over having a controller, you know, like this Elite controller here, you know. And so that's fantastic, especially if you're thinking about getting your own steering wheel, but also just to see whether alternate controllers are better than having a controller itself. He also did trying out Star Trek sweets. Yes, somebody bought him some Star Trek sweets, licensed by Paramount. He wanted to know, are they any good? I'm not going to tell you whether they were good or bad. I'll tell you that they looked blue and they were small in size. And it's quite fun just to see his face and tell you whether he thought it tasted anything like what it says on the back of the tin. Brilliant. Then we get to gaming royalty, Robert's Retro Gaming, who's in Canada, does lots of stuff with the Atari. He is royalty. He is basically, I am not worthy, I can tell you now, in regards to watching his channel. He's doing a series. He's not quite doing so much Minecraft at the moment because he's having far too much enjoyment playing No Man's Sky. So he did a part 9 and 10. They're each around about an hour, so there's plenty of stuff for you to watch there. He did some Atari 8-bit gameplay in Decathlon. He did an Atari 2600 gameplay of Golf. He did an arcade version of Mercs, Golf and Spiders, and did a SNES version of Tin Star. And just before I came on, he did a Commodore 64 version of Golf. So he's covering Golf an awful lot this week.
Fantastic game, by the way, Golf. Very well received when it came out. And quite a little bit of copy and paste, really, because it's got a bit of Space Invaders in it, but it's got a bit of Phoenix in it as well. A few others all spliced together. Space Invaders is in there. Definitely worth a watch. Salute, my friend. Absolutely fantastic. Keep up the good work. Then you got Steve's Gaming, the bastard fucking agent. He continues his channel, even though he's in pain. Remember, he's not very well at the moment, is our Steve. So I wish him the best of health from here in my heart. I really do. He's done Foundry parts 31 and 32. Home Soft Disc part 22. Spectrum Games Forward to the Past and Gem Chaser 1 and 2. BBC Games I've not played, round 5. And Sega Saturn games. That's a lot of stuff, because some of that stuff is not individual games. It's a grouping of games, all under the heading like some Sega Saturn games and stuff. So there's always a good hour of those. And then there's the smaller ones where he's concentrating on 1 or 2 games. So that's brilliant. Keep up the good work, my friend. Absolutely fantastic. And thank you again for the gifts. Very nice of you. Very naughty of you. Don't spend your money like that all the time, you cheeky bastard. Right, on to 20th Century Gaming. He did a Commodore 64 live, and he also showed off the Abu Simba long play video, which is something that I played in my gameplay videos. So I'm pretty sure he wanted to show off more of the rooms, because I was crap and hardly showed you anything. So that's really good. I appreciate the assist there. Thank you very much, Mark. And thank you for the selection of the game. And then you got LFC Gamer and Vlogs, who did 2 blogs this week. First one was a rant at YouTube plus some CD pickups. And the second one he did was some rude jokes and Sega, I think they're SNES pickups, sorry. So he picked up some SNES games. And lastly, but not least, my friend Mamemeister. By the way, thank you very much, LFC. Salute, my friend. Mamemeister, he did a live stream of Amiga versus ST in regards to some games. Totaled up the score to see which one won, Amiga or Atari ST, bringing that old rivalry back, Commodore versus Atari. And then he also did a whole live waffle on Friday with me. Absolutely fantastic. Had a ball on Friday doing that. It was totally out of the blue. And just logging in and chatting to my friend is always a joy. And that is everything in the blog. So I think we ought to move to overhead cam, if it's working. It is. And just show you what's turned up. So let's put these over here. Set up a site for me. This one is the Box of Delights, a BBC Blu-ray with enhanced visuals. Absolutely fantastic. The cover's lovely with a slipcase look. Quite nice. I like anything with Patrick Troughton in anyway, so that was great. It's the 40th anniversary of that. Got a steel book of Lost Boys, which is really nice as well. Great. I like Near Dark over The Lost Boys, but it's still a good film. Another copy of Enter the Dragon. You might wonder to yourself, why do you keep buying this? Well, there's a history with me and Enter the Dragon. And of course, my dad loved the score by Lalo Schifrin. And I loved it as well. It's a great one to have. I always like to have the different editions of those, of films that have got a deeper meaning for me. So it makes you wonder why I bought Goonies. I'm not a big fan of Goonies, but I did have the game on the Commodore 64. I did watch it at the pictures. I have seen it on VHS, CD, video CD, DVD. There's a history there, so it made sense. Marvel, what they considered probably to be the first Marvel film to be sort of to kick off the professionalism and enjoyment of Marvel films, because there has been a lot of those. Blade is early. Not a character I really enjoyed much in the comics. He was definitely in Tomb of Dracula on the Marvel comics, but Blade is enjoyable enough. And there's 3 films in that series. That's the first one, and it's a steelbook. This one finally has come into my collection. Godzilla -1, probably the finest Godzilla that's been out in the last 15 years. Going back to its roots. Special effects are to die for. Very cheap movie to make as well. Everybody's got their eyes open on a second film, so that's brilliant. A film that many people thought, what's the point in making? And that is the follow-up to Beetlejuice, just simply called Beetlejuice. Quite a nice steelbook on this one. I think it's got a protective plastic cover underneath it. There's some information on the back for you. I saw it at the cinema, thought it was okay, not brilliant. Popcorn movie, quite entertaining. This one comes from Muckman-Movies. I think he talked about Jet Li's The One in the chat. I looked, there was a steelbook that you can get. It was quite cheap, so I picked that up for a pittance. Really glad I did. I remember seeing it now. Some films don't come to mind on, did I see this film or not, when the name is just mentioned. But that one I have seen. I did see that in the pictures. What I've been highly looking forward to add into my collection is Alien Romulus. It came out earlier this year. It's the collector's steelbook. It looks beautiful. I'm looking forward to re-watching it. I saw it at the cinema and thought it was pretty darn good. Not the best, but certainly better than my expectation of it. We've got a collector's edition of Pulp Fiction because it's reached its 30th anniversary. You can see it's in deluxe packaging, and you can see the back of the box there. You get an awful lot of posters, some art cards, that sort of thing. Brilliant. And last but not least, an absolute classic, The Great Escape, now on 4K in a deluxe edition. You can see it's very thick. There are 3 discs. It's a 3-disc limited edition. Disc 1 is the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. Disc 2 is the Blu-ray with bonus features. Disc 3 is the 4K Ultra HD of extras. Absolutely brilliant. Really looking forward to that. The Great Escape, obviously, have a lot of history with me and my dad sitting on a bank holiday watching that in much the same way as The Italian Job, Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, and a number of other films. It definitely has a history. It definitely has a cast to die for. We'll go back to the camera. Absolutely fantastic. Really looking forward to seeing a lot of those films. I'm starting to go through the films from last week. You can see that each week, as we get closer to Christmas, more and more titles are coming. I dare say this week is going to be exactly the same. There's going to be a ton. Really looking forward to them. I'll show them off when I get to the blog. But we now shrink down this. I get everything all ready. We move to media playback. I've got my media all set up. Going to shut the mic off and you're going to look at some trailers. Now, I'll pre-warn you, as always. I'll probably say it at the end as well. Hopefully there is not any copyright strikes or anything that slows this down in regards to these trailers. Unfortunately, The Great Escape has got a very well-known score. I cannot avoid that one. But the others, I've done the very best to choose a version of the trailer that I didn't think would give me a copyright strike. One that was very difficult was Beetlejuice. One of the trailers had a Bee Gees song in it. I've chosen one that doesn't. Hopefully you get some enjoyment. I'm turning the mic off now, turning the other audio on. I hope you enjoy these trailers. See you on the other side.
Here's a preview. Be warned, it's intense.
Can't believe Grandpa's dead. Death is hard.
Yeah, sometimes I think life is harder.
When I was a teenager, a trickster demon terrorized our entire family and tried to force me to marry him. I believed he was gone forever until you found this in the attic.
Ew. Who's Beetlejuice?
Don't ever say that name.
Beetlejuice.
No, Astrid, I am serious. If you say his name 3 times, he will appear.
Beetlejuice.
The juice is loose. I'm gonna make you so happy.
The living. The dead. Can they coexist? That's what we're here to find out.
Where is Beetlejuice?
Where's Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice.
Feel free to express yourselves. Don't be afraid.
You're a figment of my imagination.
Really? Is this a figment of your imagination?
Is this really where you want to spend the rest of your life?
You know I don't.
Then this is our only ticket out of here.
What's happening?
There's something in the water.
What do you mean there's something in the
No,
water?
there's just something in the fucking water. Fucking thing's hunting us.
Open the door, come on.
Run.
Are you sure you want to do this?
The people have found you guilty of 123 counts of first-degree murder and 123 counts of unauthorized travel to parallel universes.
There's never been anything like what I have become.
For these crimes, you have been sentenced to life without the possibility of return.
Are you ready? Are you?
He's escaping.
There's only one place he could be going.
Not a problem.
What if there was a killer traveling through parallel universes and he looked just like you?
The good news is you're not crazy. The bad news. Before I saw him, I felt him. It was me.
What if he would stop at nothing to take over your world?
Each time he kills one of you, the energy divides among the survivors.
He's close to you lost strength.
Maybe it's part of what's been going on with you. When people get older, Gabe, they don't get stronger, they don't get faster all of a sudden.
If we kill him, this whole universe could go with him. I just need to do it one more time. This is the only way to stop him. My own design. Yeah, that'll work too. Miss me?
The One.
Mondo の戦いは死ぬための戦いじゃない。未来を生きるための戦いなんです。
この星知らず。だって自分人が抜けのせいでこのありさまだよ。許してください。こちらは差し違えてでも必ず仕留めます。ゴジラマイナスワン。
Hours ago, minutes ago, these men were behind barbed wire, locked in the strongest cage that man could devise. These men plotted. These men dared. These men lived. The Great Escape. This was the camp. These were the staggering odds.
This is a new camp. It has been built to hold you and your men. It is organized to incorporate all we have learned of security measures. We have in effect put all our rotten eggs in one basket. And we intend to watch this basket carefully.
Very wise.
There will be no escapes from this camp.
How many are you taking out? 250? 250? Yeah. You're crazy. You ought to be locked up. You too. 250 guys just walking down the road just like that.
These were the men. Hiltz, the Cooler King, who broke every rule as fast as the Germans made them. Hendley, the Scrounger. He'd come up with a baby elephant if the men needed one.
treasure kit?
This is it. The rest was confiscated in the last shakedown. The goons didn't appreciate some of my more personal items.
Such as Bartlett, Big X, the prime mover behind this true, incredible story. He held their lives in the palm of his hand. Ramsey, the planner, ready to take the rap for every man in the camp. Danny, the tunnel king. He dug 16 escape tunnels in 16 different prisons. And the Germans still have him. Sedgwick, the manufacturer. He can make anything out of anything else. And make it work. These were the reckless, defiant men. These men plotted. These men dared. These men lived. The Great Escape. The great drama, the great entertainment, the great adventure begins with The Great Escape.
And that's the trailers. And that's the end of the blog, really. I hope you enjoyed those. Great Escape, what a film. I'm itching to watch that now, after watching that. Some really exciting ones there. I mean, there's so much that have been said about Godzilla. Even if it's down to marketing in regards to trying to get hold of a copy of it, you know, in regards to a steelbook or a deluxe edition in other countries, and including this one. There's been lots of other talk that I could have gone into. November 23rd, which has just gone, was Doctor Who Day. There was an announcement of a colorized version of a Patrick Troughton story called The War Games, which actually depressed me when I listened to it. The story is a 10-episode story. If anybody knows about Doctor Who back then, the stories each week were 22 to 25 minutes. 10 times 22 or 25 minutes is 220, you know, etc., minutes. They've cut it down to 90 and colorized it. Now, I've got no problem with the colorization. I've got no problem with the fact that they're not going to take away the original 10-episode War Games. It's the reasoning behind it. It's we're doing this for a modern audience, not to appease fans too much. How many modern people are you going to aim this at that will then want to go and watch the 10-episode black and white version? You're colorizing it so that because you feel that the new modern audience won't like black and white. You've shortened it because you think their attention span is less. So is that going to encourage them to watch, say, Tomb of the Cybermen or The Invasion, which are in black and white? And much longer? Is it heck? So basically, you are just really bringing out something that the fans will have to buy because they're Doctor Who fans. And the new audience will buy it as well, thinking that that's the only copy, really, of the actual episodes. Because I'm bang sure I think that they're not going to watch the 10-episode version. They'll think, what the hell's this? So I could have talked about that. Maybe me and Denny will do a discussion point. One thing that we do know is that Denny and I are going to be sitting down shortly, and we are going to be doing a discussion before Christmas. And I do know that I'll be around Christmas. I mean, there's nothing going on for me Christmas Day. There's nothing going on for me New Year's Day. No friends, no relations coming round. I've got some time off from work. So expect to see content from me. And if that fills you with joy, thank you. That really does help me. If it doesn't, don't watch it. But do, if you know what I mean. With that, I'm going to say salute and say thank you so much for watching. It really is a joy doing this each week. And until next week, salute and goodbye. Goodbye.